The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly Podcast, recording this Wednesday night, November 19th, 2025. Here once again with music journalist and friend Matthew Allen here on the show with us. Matt, what's going on, brother? What? You can't talk. You're muted, buddy.
Thanks for having me back, EJ.
You muted yourself originally, and I was like, hope he remembers to unmute himself because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Before we get started, we got a couple of things to get into. But before you started, you're a Bills fan, right?
Oh, of course.
So I've been picking. I don't know if you're watching on social media. I've been picking on you guys last couple of weeks, man, because I still think there's a little bit. Yes, you guys are Super Bowl contenders, but there is. I've been very critical of the Bills lately. Even this past week when they beat Tampa, I was so critical. Like, you can't depend on Josh Allen to do that stuff every single week, and they can win the playoffs. It's not going to work. You can't do that.
Well, yeah, I agree, especially the way that Josh plays, with such abandon. He's kind of like, it's funny. He's like, how do I put this? Josh Allen is who we all expected Andrew Luck to be. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this guy that was just like warrior who like could like take the big hits, run downfield, make the big throws, be clutch, be intelligent. Yeah, he's who we thought Andrew Luck would be, or almost like a less creepy Ben Roethlisberger.
Less creepy Ben Roethlisberger. Well, the problem with me is that I think Josh Allen's fantastic. He's probably the best quarterback in football. Him and Lamar Jackson, 1A, 1B. You figure it out. But I feel like they're so reliant on him. Their defense is still really bad.
I mean, you kind of have to be, yeah, because I mean, number one, when you trade away or when you let your best receiver go, what are you going to do? You're letting away all these assets. You're kind of forcing Josh's hand to have to make all these big plays while all his best weapons are gone.
True, and there's something to that. But I will say, I did say last year that when they let Stephon Diggs go, that was addition by subtraction, and he's actually plays his best football without him, actually, honestly. But I just don't know if unless the defense plays better, unless he gets more help, offensively speaking, if this is enough to win a Super Bowl. Then again, the AFC is wide open, so we live in a world right now where the Chiefs may not make it.
The Chiefs are in third place this year, so the
Chiefs are in the division right now. The playoffs are today. They're not in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been today. They're not in.
That's been the thorn in our side for maybe 4 or 5 years now.
There you go. So maybe in spite of all this stuff, they can still win it all. Who knows? So
yeah, but anyway, it'd be crazy if all this just for the Patriots to come back and be. Let's not even go there.
Bro, you know how bad. I was. It's funny you said that. How bad? How terrible do you feel like if you're a Jet fan, Dolphin fan, that you had all this Pats dominance for like 20 fucking years, right? And then they're finally bad. Buffalo's great. Okay, cool, but it's not New England type, stuff. It's not New England type dominance, right? So you have a chance as a Jets and Dolphins to really get better. And then meanwhile, while you're trying to get better, the Pats come back.
Look, the Jets had about that much hope. Like as soon as Rodgers tore his Achilles, it was like, nah, dude. I don't think so.
No. So anyway, did you watch Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I did see some the clips of it. I was very happy for everyone that got induct into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year for sure.
Do you normally watch it, or you just like it depends?
Yeah,
on who.
Ordinarily, I still keep track of it, regardless of who gets in and who doesn't get in. I still because I like the show, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
because like these things, like these award shows, they're all subjective and blah 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 blah. But I really like the actual like production of it, and I like the graciousness of the people who do actually get in.
Yeah. So if people don't know who got in this year, the class 2025, you have Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Cyndi Lauper, Outkast, Soundgarden, which I love, and the White Stripes. You have like the Salt and Pepper got into the Musical Influence Award, Warren Zevon. You also had like a couple other like categories, Musical Excellence Award, and the Ahmet Ertegun. What does that mean? Ahmet Ertegun. What is that? Is that a special?
The Ahmet Ertegun. So Ahmet Ertegun.
Sorry. Yeah.
So Ahmet Ertegun was one of the co-founders and producers of the early Atlantic records. Like he's the guy that helped cultivate the careers of Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, and that award is given to a non-performing person. Like it's usually to a person that's a songwriter or a producer, but not like a performing act. That's what that award is. To get somebody in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that isn't, a artist.
So the rule's still 25 years since your start, right?
Yeah,
right.
25 years since your debut.
So Outkast debuted what, 94, right?
Yeah, 1994.
So they are well overdue then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Later. So here's the funny thing about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We probably talked about this before in our last.
I think we had teased a little bit last time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare for any act to get in its first year of eligibility. It's very rare.
Why is that? Is the rules similar? Is the rules like similar to baseball?
I mean, it could be. Well, today the rules are different. Back then, I guess it was just at the whim of whoever the voters were. And Jan Wenner, the co-founder of Rolling Stone magazine, created the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and sat on the board until he put his big fat white supremacist foot in his mouth. But he was the one that was that was kind of creating the culture of how people were getting in. You know what I'm saying? So people weren't getting in the first year of eligibility all the time. I know like I had a gripe. I remember a big thing happened with Paul McCartney, right? Paul McCartney gets in, I think in 1999, a year after his wife, Linda McCartney, had passed away.
Yeah.
And he should have gotten in well before that. He actually should have gotten in before John Lennon got in. But Jan Wenner has a hard-on for John Lennon. So, of course, he was going to get in first.
Yeah.
And Paul McCartney, as far as I believe, he showed up drunk because he was very much. Paul, yeah. I think
I didn't know that story.
I mean, if he didn't show up drunk, he was certainly upset. But I think that he probably pre-gamed a little bit because he was very much in grieving mode.
Right. Him and Linda were very close.
He had a very rambling, meandering speech, and all he talked about was Linda and how Linda loved New York City because that's where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame used to be at the Waldorf Astoria ballroom.
Right. Wait. It's in Cleveland, right?
Well, yeah, the Hall of Fame itself is in Cleveland, but the award show was usually in the Waldorf Astoria.
Right,
so they started to like bump it around a few places, and he was just like totally like stammering over the speech. He was very sad about Linda. And then
is it still New York now, or is it
it was in Brooklyn this year. It's been in Brooklyn.
It's still New York then. Okay.
It's been at the Barclays Center, which is not far from where I am now.
Okay. Now continue the McCartney story. This is actually very fascinating shit.
So McCartney, he's just rambling on about, I love being in New York. Linda, my baby, she loved New York and she grew up here. And he was very, very sad. And it just sounded like he was either grieving or he was drunk and grieving. And then Stella came up, and Stella McCartney had
his daughter, right? Yeah.
His daughter came up and she had on a shirt and she was crying. She had on a white tank top that said "About fucking time." And he's like,
wow.
He's like, hey man, like I'm in here as a solo artist. John's in here as a solo artist. What about George and Ringo? Come on, guys, get your shit together, So it's just, I mean, and of course, like Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson was eligible in 1997, which is the year that Jackson 5 did get in, but he didn't get in until 2001. Mariah Carey, we talked about this the last time. Mariah Carey is eligible this year, and she still didn't get in, and she's got more.
Wait. Was her debut in 1990 though?
1990. So that means this year would have been the
longer. She's 10 years older. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and she's still not in. She's got more #1 records than anybody else but the Beatles, and she's still not in. So that's how subjective it is.
Let me ask you this. So what is the politics behind this though? Is it because of percentages?
You know what? I have my theories about this.
Okay, you tell me.
I have my theories.
I'm so glad we're doing this, by the way. I didn't plan this.
Me too. So the thing about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that it's sort of a double-edged sword, because you have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So you have the people who think that people who are rock and rollers, the idealistic white, rock and roll people should get in. And then you have people that understand that, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the term rock and roll is a generic catch-all for American music in general.
Right.
That's why you have so many people who complain, like, why is Outkast getting in? Why how come,
LL Cool J,
LL Cool J, the MC5s aren't in, and Iron Maiden's not in yet, and blah, blah, blah. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was like, dude, like, stop. You realize rock and roll is just a catch-all for all music. Right. And number one, and number two, that's probably intentional so they can stir up that controversy as well, because it's like the rock and roll. We determine who gets in. It's just a snob fest is really what it is, which is why I'm glad that at least over the past 3 or 4 years, they've allowed fans to be incorporated in the voting process, which wasn't the case before. So I want to say since for the past 4 or 5 years, they've allowed fans to vote. And so that's been nice, but Mariah Carey
I know in certain sports, like you gotta hit a certain threshold. I know in baseball you gotta hit a 75% threshold to qualify for the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
in that cycle. Is there something similar in rock and roll?
Okay, I think it is. You have to. I mean, they have let's say they have 20 finalists, and I think that you have to be in the top 10 or 12 or whatever of that finalists, because they have a certain number that they pick, and then whoever has the highest of that number, that they the ones that get in. And so that to me is just always fascinating, because I think about okay, yes, these people are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but wait a minute, how come Mariah Carey's not in? How come Phil Collins isn't in? Phil Collins is in as a member of Genesis.
It's ridiculous.
But he's not in as a solo artist. And it's ridiculous. Dude, who was only Michael Jackson and Prince were bigger than Phil Collins in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even count all the dope stuff that he did for Disney. I mean, he has an Oscar, for crying out loud. So, it's just they pick who they want to pick, and it's just okay, it's very, and it's also, it's like the MVPs in sports. It's very narrative based, so but at the same time, when people do get in, I'm happy that they get in. Like I said, with Outkast, I was very happy to see Outkast get in. They have one of, if not the most flawless discography in the history of
we debated that on one of the shows we were together, either one of the shows we did with the draft or whatever. You agree with me, they have the best catalog in hip-hop history, probably.
I think it's between them and De La Soul.
You said that was the other one you were saying, right?
That they
was consistent.
The two best.
Yeah It does bother me still to this day that NSYNC got the honor for Michael Jackson Hall of Fame. NSYNC.
But listen,
I understand why they did it. It was a popularity thing.
It's ratings. Look,
that's all it
ratings. I mean, it's like Prince, right? The Outkast were the ones that, and Alicia Keys were the ones that inducted Prince. And I'm like, no, how come you didn't get somebody else like Lenny Kravitz or someone that literally had a more direct lineage of Prince, or Andre Simone or a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, or Morris Day or somebody like that could have done it. You know, they're just doing it because they're people who were popular at the time. It was 2020, 2003.
But even you can sell me on Outkast and Alicia Keys doing it. In sync, I understand they were huge in 2001, but come on, Michael Jackson, dude. He's got to get someone on the level of Steve Wonder, someone on the level of Paul McCartney, someone on the level of that ilk.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But at the same time, and we both love Mike, but his induction speech was also very anticlimactic for me.
He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he was injured, so he didn't perform.
Yeah.
Even though he could have just sat on the stool and sang. Somebody actually yelled out because he's like, there won't be any moonwalking tonight. I broke my foot at Neverland. The doctor says I'll be able to get out of this cast in about 4 weeks. And somebody yelled out, just sing. And I was thinking, yeah, just sing, dude. Like, get on a stool and sing, man, in the mirror. But then his speech was very short. You know, he thanked his parents. He spent a majority, and he was particularly thankful for Berry Gordy, who he thanked very much in the Jackson 5 speech also. But it was a very anticlimactic sort of speech. Like Prince's speech was far more like grandiose and something you can really pull from. But I think that is what it is. It's like Michael was just kind of like, it's just another award, you know.
Like honestly, he's one of the only artists that looks like this. Like people, artists like Cyndi Lauper, and we'll look at Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's amazing, but from Michael's like, okay,
and
Michael Jackson, like he's one of if not the only artist that can transcend that award show because he's that big.
Yeah, but and it doesn't make sense to have something like that, like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, without having it in it. Which, like I said, once again, maybe he didn't want to be there because, like I said, Jan Wenner of Rolling Stone very famously, mistreated him throughout his life and in his death. I'm just saying Rolling Stone in general. Right. So it's just like Jan Wenner literally wrote him a letter saying why he would not be on the cover when Off the Wall came out. So yeah, so I don't blame him for doing that. When they did Rolling Stone interviews, he would do them like over the phone. When he did Ebony interviews and Jet interviews, they were always in person. So
yeah, and that's by design. Speaking of speeches, man, this Outkast speech, particularly from Andre 3000, was amazing. Here's a clip of his speech from this year's ceremony.
One thing that Jack said, man, Jack is one of my favorites, man. We love you, man. But one thing that he said something about little rooms, and we started in a little.
That hit me, man. That really hit me.
Yeah.
Little rooms. Great thing to start in little rooms. That's it.
Long live Uncle Mooney.
That was tough. I actually listen to that as well.
Yeah, that was
Andre's different, dude. The Outkast, they're pioneers. They really are pioneers.
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to contribute to a Complex article that came out that a couple of days before the ceremony that ranked all 6 of their albums from worst to best. And I thought about the fact that speech, and I was sitting and reflecting. When Outkast first broke onto the scene, they won the Source Award for Best New Artist on that infamous night when Suge Knight and Dr. Dre and Puffy and all that stuff. Yeah, 1995 in Madison Square Garden. And they booed Outkast, not because they didn't like them, but because they didn't care. And it's like Tennessee Williams always says, the only thing that's worse than being hated is being ignored.
Yeah.
And Andre stepped up to the mic and said, I thank God, but it's like this though. I'm tired of the closed-minded folks, walking around acting like we got a demo tape and they don't want to hear it. But all I gotta say is that the South got something to say.
Yeah.
He said Outkast in essence begins their ascend with the statement, the South got something to say, as a mission statement for what they're about to do. And then great things happen in little rooms is the culmination of their coronation into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Correct.
The two bookends of those statements.
It's incredible.
Is incredible. The South got something to say. Great things happen in little rooms. That is basically two edicts of what Outkast meant, not just to hip hop, but to opening the floodgates for Atlanta and Southern hip hop to have the influence that they had on the entire world from that moment on.
And I got to tell you also, as someone who loved hip hop, especially back then, back in the 90s, when at that time it was pretty violent. Like we're in the midst of the East-West Tupac and versus Biggie thing, and it was very violent. Outkast was a nice palette to have, like outside of that. If you were sick of the violence and the rivalries, here you have Outkast is just making great music, bring something totally different to the table than what either Pac was doing, and Warren G and Dre, and obviously, and all the Biggie, you name it, So they were there to have a nice palette, and then once the East-West thing fizzled in the late '90s, when Pac and Biggie passed away, Outkast was there to pick up the pieces, and they just ran with it, what they were doing, and they ended up becoming one of the, if not the biggest act in hip hop history.
What's great about Outkast is what's great about people like Michael Jackson, like Missy Elliott, like David Bowie, like Kanye West. They reinvented themselves. Yeah, like none of their like ATLiens sounds nothing like Southern Playalistic Cadillac music. Aquemini does not sound like ATLiens. Stankonia does not sound like Aquemini. Speakerbox Love Below doesn't even sound like itself. It's two solo albums. And then Idlewild doesn't sound like none of that. Every single time they came to the table, they challenged themselves. They challenged the listeners. They had, like, when I think about Outkast, I think about greats, like the fact that like Rosa Parks had a harmonica solo in the bridge. Like, what hip hop record's gonna have a harmonica solo? Right. Or a song like Spody Ody Dopalicious, where you're gonna have this dope brass band,
sick song, bro,
with singing and spoken word on it, and they made it work. It wasn't, it's not supposed to work on paper, and they made it work. A song like Bombs Over Baghdad, which still to me sounds like it was made in the future, even now. Yeah. So, shout out to Big Boy, shout out to Andre. Those guys are just excellent ambassadors for Southern hip hop and just hip hop in general. Well, just Black music, period. But hip hop in general, because because what the Dungeon family did, it was embody the aspect that there's still a cultural aspect of hip hop that is just beyond just the making music, but just the lifestyle. So, I always, and that's why I was so grateful to see, especially when they brought everyone from the Dungeon family on stage with them. It's very much reminiscent of when Parliament Funkadelic got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it was in 1998 or something like that. And Prince inducted them. Yeah. And like you saw, Bootsy Collins and Bernie Worrell and Eddie Hazel's widow and Junie Morrison. It was just, it was a beautiful moment.
Any shot they reunite? They're not broken up. They're just on hiatus, right?
I think that we've seen the last of Outkast as a performing duo and as a recording duo, and that's fine with me. I feel like, yes, Idlewild might be kind of an anticlimactic end for some people. Particularly just the album, not necessarily the movie soundtrack.
Definitely the most least heralded album of the bunch.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the contrasting styles that made Outkast so beautiful before that, I think that that's what worked against them in Idlewild, because I think they just weren't. They were on completely different planes, just creatively on Idlewild, to the point where it just the styles clashed more than they complemented each other. Not to say that there's not great stuff on Idlewild, but you can tell that, you know, they were not working together as much as they were coexisting. And I feel like Andre is in such a completely different place now that I don't even know if I'd want to hear what they would do if they were to get back together, just because Andre is just like I said, he's just not inspired. And I can attest to that myself, just like with, you know, the stuff that I've done as a creative. It's just like, why put my foot forward if I can't be at my best? And I think that Bun B had a great quote about him during a podcast a few years ago, where he says, Andre, he says, like, I've never seen somebody write as easily as he does. And I think that it isn't challenging for him anymore, because it's too easy for him to write rhymes.
Like, he's beyond your typical hip hop star. He is a musical genius. He's wired. He's wired very differently from most artists. I get it. I totally get it.
And on the other side of that coin, Big Boy is the total opposite, but he's still equally a genius. I mean, Big Boy is one of the most underrated song makers and songwriters in hip hop history. Like, he came up with so many of those hooks and choruses, like elevators and all that stuff. The way you move, it's just he really, you know, was, you know, they act like people act like Outkast is Wham. You know, people act like Andre is George Michael and Big Boy is Andrew Ridgeley, and like, no, dude, don't you dare.
I agree with that. That part I definitely agree with.
Big Boy's got some of the best rhymes, like the stuff he did on the title track of Aquemini, the stuff that he did on Stankonia and AT Aliens, the art of storytelling, once again, Spodioid Dopalicious. Like, the dude is just one of the most consistently great MCs we've ever seen.
Right. One of the most underrated parts of the night for me personally was Cyndi Lauper's speech. You know, she's one of the most unheralded females in the industry. You know, obviously has the really big song she did, "Girls Won't Have Fun," back in 1993. But a lot of people, unless you're a fan, don't really know much else outside of that. So, but I did love her speech though. I'm glad she got acknowledged this year. Here's her piece of her speech from this event.
How to make a long story short, oops, too late for that, but I just want to say that I know that I stand on the shoulders of the women in the industry that came before me, and my shoulders are broad enough to have the women that come after me stand on mine. And the other thing that I thought was really important, which is why I really came here tonight, is to tell you that the little kid in me still believes that rock and roll can save the world. And we have done, and rock and roll is a big, wonderful quilt of a lot of different styles of music, thank goodness. And all of that music has influenced me and my work, and without it, I don't know what kind of music I'd be making. So I just want to say, now of all times, you know, let's come together again and do good in the world, because it needs us.
I love the fact that she went ahead and mentioned that when rock and roll, and that she goes, the big quilt, wide, and not just rock and roll. Just in case you're wondering, you know, again, she is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated vocalists of her gender. You know, you don't ever mention, you talk about greatest, you know, of all time, you know, singers. We're gonna go Aretha and Whitney, Mariah, and Streisand, and rightly so for the record. I'm not saying it's wrong. But no one mentions Cyndi Lauper because, again, what I mentioned earlier, outside girls just want to have fun, unless you're a diehard, you don't know the music outside of that song. I mean, another song.
She's got classics.
True Colors, right?
True Colors, She Bop, Time After Time.
I love Time After Time.
You know, she's and plus, you know, the way that she, you know, infiltrated, you know, theater space, Broadway. You know, it's. I think that Cyndi Lauper she made up for what some would say is a lack of like a laundry list of like big selling hits with her like underrated influence on singers. Like, you don't get a Chaperone without Cyndi Lauper. You don't get like even like an Avril Lavigne or something like that. You wouldn't get without someone like Cyndi Lauper, you know, coming through, being, you know, going out of her way to just be herself and be different and be colorful, but still say things that are, you know, she was able to straddle that line between being wistful and and poignant, you know, and you know that's hard to do.
Yeah,
you know, it's hard to be whimsical and to be profound.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I think she doesn't have the credit in that era, in 1983, 84, you know, where pop culture was, Matt, you might agree with this too also. Pop culture might have been at its peak in the mid-80s. At any point of
1984 specifically.
Right. And she stood out. She stood out. She stood out. Not only with the music, but also her involvement with the WWF back in the day. You know?
Oh yeah, Big Lou.
She was instrumental and part of the first WrestleMania ever.
Yes.
So she stood out, bro. She was involved in an angle with Lou Albano and even with Hogan for a little while. I mean, she stood out at a time where the most talented of singers, actors, you name it, all mattered. 84 especially, and she stood out.
Yeah,
that's why she matters.
The fact that she stood out among people, I mean, Michael Jackson and the Jacksons were on their victory tour. Prince had the biggest hit of his career with the Purple Rain soundtrack. Mm-hmm. You got, you know, Huey Lewis,
Van Halen,
still in the midst of their sports campaign. Van Halen's 1984 albums got 3 huge hits. Madonna's Like a Virgin is having its incredible run.
Yeah. The start of MTV's real ascent. 84 was the first. I think 84.
84 was the first year of the VMAs. Also.
Yeah. Michael charged it up in 83 with Thriller and all that, and then 84 was when it lifted off. So again, she stood out. She mattered.
She did.
And that's why she deserves all the praise she gets. And I'm glad she's being acknowledged. I really am glad she's being acknowledged because she mattered in a big way. And I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We mentioned Michael a lot on this show, obviously. You obviously saw the biopic teaser.
Yes, I did see the teaser indeed.
I already gave my thoughts on this already three, four damn times. So what's your thoughts on it? What do you think?
Okay, so the teaser really is what it is. It's a teaser, you know.
Right. I
love the fact that they held off on, you know, hearing Jafar's take on Michael's voice, which sounds very, very accurate. And the actor that plays Quincy sounds pretty good too.
Yeah.
I love the propping of all of the performance elements. You know, from Motown 25. There's a clip from the last stop on the Victory Tour at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
That infamous night. This is our last and final tour.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
that. Word. And
what am I talking about, bro?
That's like when he made the announcement. Oh, all my money! I'm giving all my money from the tour to charity. It's like, we don't have to give ours, do we? You know. But that, you know, clips from the Bad tour, clips from the Thriller video, the Beat It video. Of course, Branca had to, you know, get his little cameo in there.
Well, there's a lot of like feelings about John Branca and his involvement. It is what it is, bro.
It is
this state. That's it.
Yeah, but in terms of of the teaser, I'm very pleased. I'm like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic because biopics are notorious for taking artistic liberties.
You've spoken about this on the show a few times, actually.
Yeah.
Biopics and the problems with biopics.
Yeah, and so I don't expect this one to be any different. You know, there's going to be some artistic liberties. There's going to be some composite characters, and that's going to be hard for people like us because we're big diehard Michael fans, and for me, I'm a notorious bullet counter when it comes to music biopics and just biopics in general.
Yeah.
Like so. And that leads me to the fact that the movie is being produced by Graham King, the person that produced the Bohemian Rhapsody film. And I had a lot of problems with the inaccuracies in
I did an entire episode on the show somewhere where I discussed all the parts of the movie that it's been a segment of the show of the episode.
Dude,
I'm just
like, it's like, I mean, just the laundry list is like, okay, like why are they playing Fat Bottom Girls for their 1974 tour in America when that song didn't come out until 1978? Why are they acting like they wrote We Will Rock You in 1980 when they were in Madison Square Garden when they wrote that in 1987?
Right.
Why are they acting like Freddie Mercury went solo and broke the group up when Roger and Brian both did solo albums already?
Exactly.
And Live Aid came out like 6 weeks after the last date of the Works tour, and I understand it. Then they prompted the whole Freddie has AIDS thing to sort of like raise the stakes for Live Aid, even though Freddie didn't know he had AIDS until 2 years after Live Aid, and he didn't tell the band until a year and a half after he got diagnosed. So it's just, so I had some like those are things that didn't need.
You see the casual fan, and I'll say again, as someone who Michael and Queen are two of my top 3 favorite artists of all time. Okay, other was Metallica, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. They took a lot of liberties of that. Like, if you think I'm bad, but I was terrible with Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm a bigger Michael fan, bro, and it's not even close. And I know I already know about Michael Jackson in his life, tooth and nail. Like even the stuff that's not public. I'm gonna be horrible.
Listen. Let me tell you how bad I'm gonna be. All right. Yeah. So the first time I ever went to Las Vegas, I think was like maybe I don't know, maybe.
Oh, you told me the story.
Ago.
You told me the story. I remember the story. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you that have, so about 8 years ago, I went to Las Vegas for the first time on like a business trip, and I was staying at the Stratosphere Hotel, which had a Michael Jackson impersonation show in the hotel. And I went in there drunk, not expecting to be drunk, and I was just yelling out, "You're like that chord progression's wrong," It's just like, like it's just stuff like that,
Yeah.
So if I'm that nitpicky at a Michael Jackson impersonation show at the film, I'm just be like, because I'll tell you one thing, MJ the Musical was not like that. MJ the Musical was very, I mean, with some liberties that had to be taken.
There was very little sanitation in the musical.
Yeah, in terms of pushing like a certain narrative, the narrative of what they were trying to accomplish, with the whole motif of getting the reporter to do a fluff piece on Mike, and then ended up trying to do something more substantial when they found out that Mike had an issue with painkillers. But that probably didn't happen. But at the same time, all the stuff that did happen in terms of Michael's relationship with his father, which is the foundation of that musical, and how Joe influenced him in the way he thought and the way he treated people, that stuff was absolutely true. So I didn't have an issue with it in that context. In the context of the film, it's going to be it's going to be interesting for me because Michael Jackson's story is so well known. Like, it is the stuff of legend. Motown 25, the Pepsi getting burned issue, the Jackson 5 leaving Motown and Jermaine staying behind. Like, all that stuff is common knowledge.
He's arguably, outside of politicians and kings and queens, the most reported and tracked person ever.
Yeah,
ever live.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they alter the story for this narrative's sake, knowing that so many people know so many facts about him. So, but like I said, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic because at the end of the day, movies are about entertainment. If people wanted to know the truth, they would just watch a documentary. Except the Thriller 40 for Rock Miller.
Damn, we're still on that?
Dude, look, I can't let it go, dude. I
get it. I get it. It's just like you're still on.
It was such, they just dropped the ball so much. See, I'm at a point in my career where I'm about to like pivot out of like doing the music journalism thing. So I'm like on one. So I'm not worried about
we'll get there in a
building, like burning bridges. But no, Thriller 40, that was the biggest fumble I've seen.
We actually talked about that on the show when it came out. We actually discussed it on the show because
I was way more diplomatic about it, though.
Yeah, Nelson George, God bless his soul, obviously, but I mean, what Spike Lee
he's
did.
Still alive.
Yeah, no, right. What Spike Lee did with the Off the Wall one and what he did with the bad 25 was immaculate.
Particularly bad 25.
Yeah, especially bad 25. That was amazing. There were stories there. When there's stories that I'm even learning now that I didn't know for years, and I've been obsessed with a Stan for fucking 40 years. You're doing something right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, exactly.
But yeah. Look. Here's the deal. All my friends, who love Michael more casual, they're like, I warn them. It's gonna be a little sugarcoated. It is what it is. I'll tell you if it's, and I'll tell you what the things I got right and wrong. Obviously, but again, I'm also accepting the fact now that, okay, what is the priority here as a fan? Okay, is it to entertain me, or is a bigger priority to make sure his legacy is in place, make sure the right story is being told?
That's a very good point.
And so I have to get over myself and what I think. Like I'm going to pick the things I'm going to pick at, obviously. But ultimately, if this biopic means there are more fans of Michael Jackson that happen in the years to come, I'm buying in. I'm all in. And to me, as a fan and someone who wants his legacy preserved as long as I can preserve it, that's my priority when coming to this film. That's a priority with the musical and everything else they do with Michael Jackson in the future and whatnot. Is it going to grow his base?
And that's a very good point because there's so many people, young people, kids, teenagers, young adults who are coming to love Michael Jackson. People who are really like discovering his later material, particularly like the Invincible album.
Heaven Can Wait.
Even, like Heaven Can Wait was huge all over TikTok. People, for some strange reason, people love Chicago from the Escape posthumous record. That's
trending like top 10 songs on Apple.
Tons of streams. It's got tons of streams. It doesn't even have a music video. I just hope that the estate, because I really believe that the Michael Jackson estate is run by people who didn't like him and that are purposely trying to either mess up his legacy or purposely trying to alienate or troll his fans because of some resentment that they had for Michael while he was alive. And now they're like exercising that now that he's gone.
Particularly John Branca.
And like I said, I'm at a point I can say what I want. And John Branca, he was let go by Michael 6 years before he passed away, but Michael never changed his will so that he was.
What does he let go? Even back as far back as 1989?
I think he was fired, then hired, then fired again. I just know that in 2003 he was let go again, and but he never changed his will, so he was still the executor. And now, like he's just like just the way the social media for like the Twitter page and all this other stuff from Michael's page, it's like they purposely get things wrong on that page. It's absolutely on purpose. There's nobody that can be that consistently incompetent at doing social media posts in terms of punctuation, in terms of getting facts wrong, in just weird language and weird ways to do things. They're totally just trolling fans. I think that's really what it is. I mean, look at the way that the Thriller 40 like album rollout was, like the way that was a total troll, like revealing one day at a time what the bonus tracks were going to be, totally omitting Hot Street, knowing fans wanted Hot Street on that album because it's not officially available, knowing that Michael was on record to say that he didn't like the fact that Hot Street was omitted from the final track list on Thriller. Like, it was a total troll, and they play in people's face, and I really don't like that. You know, and the funny thing is, I used to think that the Prince estate was like kicking the Michael Jackson estate's ass by a mile, but now it's like, but now they're kind of like neck and neck, because the Prince estate is not run particularly well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Even though they have great super deluxe editions of Prince's albums that I love and own, but everything else is just, it's very hit and miss.
I thought the MJ estate actually was run okay for the first like 5-6 years. They put up some really good quality.
No,
and then something after 2016, something happened.
I don't know what it was. Bad 25 was really good.
Peak.
And they teased, you know, Thriller 30. Sorry, Dangerous 30. It never happened. Obviously, the Leaving Neverland thing put things on ice. The pandemic, the lawsuit about over the Casio tracks. It's just but I really believe that at this point, because things have cooled off with the Leaving Neverland thing, Wade and James, a lot of people have come to see like how dishonest and how much their stories don't add up and like they've been inaccurate. All the people that came forward that they name dropped in the documentary that said that they were lying. And then just the growing number of people who really say, oh, okay, you know, Michael Jackson was a legend and all this other stuff. I don't appreciate publications like The Root in other places, particularly Black publications that try to throw shade at Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I know you made a comment about that actually last week too. Also, when they announced the biopic or not, and some things you were saying, and you commented. Was it Grio? I think that said it.
Yeah, no, it's The Root. So I used to write. Okay. I freelanced for The Root years ago.
Yeah,
and they've changed ownership a few times since I with them. And they had an article about, you know, why Black people have a hard time reconciling, you know, Michael Jackson's accusations. It's like, dude, like, why? Like I get it. There are people who do feel like that, but I'm like, but why would you even like put something else out there like that? And on top of the fact that they wrote an article about an opinion piece about, oh, Prince is 10 times better than Michael Jackson and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? This is exactly what's going to happen. We can't fall for it. As soon as I realized that the Michael Jackson biopic was going to go forward, I knew that there were going to be entities, whether it was going to be or it was going to be media people or whoever, who are going to start torpedoing on Michael's legacy the closer and closer we get. And so people who are watching your podcast understand and expect for there to be some reports and some real big hit jobs on MJ the closer we get to August 24th, and we can't fall for it.
April,
you know what I'm saying? April, sorry. Like I get my A months mixed up.
Sorry.
But when we get to April 24th, there's going to be more and more like hit jobs and things about MJ that are going to happen. I'm sure there's going to be some fluff pieces that celebrate him too, but just anticipate that and don't let it deter you. Michael Jackson was an innocent man. He was found not guilty. He was acquitted. The FBI reported that they didn't find anything after a 10-year dirt asshole investigation of him across several continents. So, you know what I'm saying? If you look, all I'm going to say to you is like, just do the research, like for real. Don't be one-sided about it.
Yeah.
If you still think what you think about MJ after you've heard both sides, I can respect it, but don't make up your mind after only hearing one side. And that's for people who also believe that Michael Jackson was innocent as well.
I gotta say though, the reception for the teaser when it came down and everything since the last 2 weeks, it's been amazing. And not just with fans. Obviously the hardcores are going crazy. Obviously, you know that. Mm-hmm. But even some of the people a little outside that bubble, like
exceeded expectations.
Yes, people were like texting me and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm excited for this movie! I can't wait to see it. Can I go see it with you?" No. you know, I got to see it alone. My wife is the only person that can go with me to see that movie. I'm gonna be a mess.
Let me ask you. Okay, so what do you expect like the day of in terms of the audience? Like, I'm thinking of it's gonna be a Black Panther situation Remember when Black Panther came out in 2018 and everybody came out with the African garb? Do you think people are going to dress up like Michael? They're going to wear the Michael Jackson T-shirts and things? Because I'll tell you something. Over the summer, I was able to watch a screening of the Prince's Sign of the Times concert film in IMAX at Kips Bay Theater on 34th Street.
Yeah,
lots of people came dressed in Prince cosplay.
Just
to see him in an IMAX theater. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, I would have gone to that if I wasn't out of town. I wanted to go to that, but I was in New York at the time. I was on vacations and I couldn't go.
But it was, I mean, the movie was available all over the country, but the main premiere was in New York. And there are people who were just dressed up like Prince, like usually there is. Just like when I go to, these DJ Spinner Soul Slam parties, that's Michael Jackson and Prince parties. There's lots of people who are dressed up like both. There are Soul Slam parties where it's just Prince, or Forever Michael parties where it's just Michael. And there's lots of cosplay, of both people. I expect to see some of that, but I can't wait to see people in their Michael Jackson gear. I know I have my Michael Jackson shirts that plenty to choose from that I'm gonna go
me
see
too.
it.
Sit right here, like a couple, like 4 or 5 here.
Let me ask you this question though, EJ.
Go ahead.
Let's say that the estate actually is on some I want to do good type of stuff. What are some projects that you think that they should cross-pollinate with the release of the biopic? Because I'm telling you, if the estate is smart, they're going to probably want to do something to capitalize on the bigness of this biopic beyond just doing like a generic soundtrack.
So next year would also fall the Dangerous 35-year anniversary. Next year.
Yes.
And there's a lot of material. A lot of them has leaked on the internet for years. From that album that you can repackage easily as a reissue. It is not that hard. That hard.
Absolutely. I mean, hell, I would love for them to repackage the rehearsal footage. The rehearsal footage for Dangerous has been out there for the rehearsal footage of Remember the Time is great. The
songs that he did not do on the tour. He just rehearsing it to see if we can try it out. You can also do if you want to get really slick with it. 25th anniversary is Invincible.
Listen,
if there's things there to take out,
I think it's time for a ripe reappraisal and re-release of Invincible. I think that if they're smart, they will do a full-on single release of Heaven Can Wait with a short film, and do a world premiere to try to get that thing in the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. I think that there are plenty of people who love that song. Like I said, it blew up on TikTok heavy. It became big in a whole new audience, a whole new generation. We have these conversations about, 4-song runs on albums. People are talking about that 4-song run on Invincible, Break of Dawn, Heaven Can Wait, You Rock My World, Butterflies. People 25 to 35, they gush over that run and that album in general. And I think that if the estate is smart, they will capitalize on that. They'll see that the yearning for that song. They'll see, like I said, the numbers for Chicago. If they want to do a video for that, that's the thing. Because they did a video for like Hollywood Tonight and Love It Never Felt So Good and stuff, and that's fine. But even Timbaland, who produced Chicago, said that it should have been the first single rather than Love It Never Felt So Good. But I feel like they should do something like that. I think that there should be some DVD releases. I think that one of the best things that happened with the Thriller 40 documentary was to confirm what I had suspected for many years, was that the footage of the Victory Tour that was professionally shot by Michael's production team in 35 millimeter is in the hands of the estate. It has been converted to 4K quality and was used in the Thriller 40 documentary. And I think that it would behoove them to either put it on DVD or put it on streaming officially, or even do like what they should do is do what Disney Plus did with the Beatles Get Back when they released the entire rooftop concert. I think that they should do a compilation of clips from the Victory Tour in 4K from 35 millimeter and have it be a teaser that they watch before the film. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like what Pixar used to do with their little shorts.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget seeing that like little bow short where the woman was raising the little dumpling, and then she ate it when he was trying to get married. You know, if they were smart, they would put that as like a teaser or like an opening thing.
There's definitely a lot. There's definitely a lot of things they can do. Like I said, the re-release is the easy one, and you can do it in the end of the year, right where November. It came out November 21. You can put it out months after the biopic to keep the momentum going. Obviously,
absolutely.
Obviously, the teaser broke records, like Michael does from the grave. He most viewed biopic trailer ever.
160 million views.
Even being Taylor Swift. It was just amazing. There's rumors. Well, there's rumors that it could be a part 2 of this movie, because it was originally supposed to be filmed on one big movie, but obviously the legalities paused that the reshoots, and the movie's going to end in the 1988-89 bad tour, want to call it. So obviously there's 20 years still you have to cover.
I think I think they should do a second movie where they do address like the allegations and the way, and the way that the Chandlers tried to extort Michael, the trial, how he responded with the History album, his battle with Sony and Timon Mottola, all that stuff.
The problem is that the allegation thing, because of the non-disclosure agreement, there's a lot of loopholes they gotta work around before they do that.
I'm just glad that they were willing to go there. It's kind of like I'm glad that they're willing to go there, because there are this was a chance to set the record straight in this big platform. It's kind of like it reminds me of like F. Gary Gray, who directed Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
Like the original cut of Straight Outta Compton was going to include, the whole D. Barnes assault from Dr. Dre, and it was ultimately cut. But at least they had the courage to even put it in the script and shoot it. It was a shame that they didn't include it. I mean, they talked about it in the Defiant Ones documentary, where Dr. Dre finally addressed it for the first time. But I'm just glad that they were at least willing to have that conversation in that context, because I feel like I said, this is an opportunity to really have people see, Michael was being extorted. People were taking advantage of him. His legacy ultimately was severely hurt because of this thing. Yes, his civil liberties were violated in 1993 and so on and so forth. That stuff would have been and still might be important to show. So I fully expect, well, I won't fully, I maybe 65 to 75% expect to be a part 2 to this film.
Well, they already said it. The plan is, because they saw the hype and the response to the teaser in the first couple of days, and they said that basically that in certain terms, that if they see, the rumor is now that if the movie does do as well as it's going to do, that they're gonna greenlight the part 2.
Do you think it'll cross $1 billion
worldwide? Yeah,
worldwide. Okay,
because the thing is, he's so big worldwide, bro. I think we forget how.
Yeah, we do forget.
It's
gonna be crazy.
If you sit around and look on the internet and see like an Instagram sample, you'll see fans that live in countries I've never heard of.
Dude, I keep hearing this piece of lore about that they don't care about a short film, right? Where Michael was supposed to go into this neighborhood in Brazil to shoot the
video.
That part of the video. This is not the prison one that was the second one that shot. The one that's got 1 billion views on YouTube.
Yeah. And
apparently the Brazilian police wouldn't go into the neighborhood because it was run by the cartels. Right. But Spike Lee sent an assistant to speak to the drug kingpin, and he promised Michael Jackson's security, which is insane.
Right.
And the funny thing about that is that like a few weeks ago, Matthew Knowles was interviewed, And he was asked
Beyonce's
about
father, right?
Beyonce's father and ex-manager of her and Destiny's Child. And they asked him, the interviewer asked him about Put It in a Love Song, a duet between Alicia Keys and Beyonce, that a music video was shot in Brazil that ultimately was never officially released, despite the fact that there was a lot of hype over it. And Matthew Knowles disclosed that, the record company wouldn't pay the gangsters to let them shoot in the video, the villa, and so they had to get in the helicopter and fly away. And it just immediately made me think, like, see, they don't have the juice. Like, see, they should have just went. See, Michael and them had the juice to go pay the drug dealers, or the drug dealers didn't even want the money. They're just like, dude, we're just a fan. We'll just do it on the strength.
It's the influence, bro. It's the influence.
That to me is crazy. That would be so dope to put in the part 2 of the Michael Jackson biopic. Is Spike Lee and his assistant going to the drug kingpin to ask for security.
You know what's funny? That's a scene also you can take liberties with, and
absolutely,
it'd be okay.
I can only imagine the liberties they would take.
You can go comedic, you can go serious, you can whatever. You can be creative with it.
I love it.
It'd be okay. You know what I mean? So look, I think it's going to be a hit. Like I think that I love seeing the hype. People so excited about Michael again.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. It's a testament to. It's a testament to what going through with 2019, the Leaving Neverland thing, and all that stuff, and even stuff before that, and us being fans as long as we have, and living through those ordeals because we're invested like that.
Because it was dark for a long time, and then, but like I said, slowly but surely things picked up. Once MJ the Musical was a huge hit, and then it won all those Tony Awards, and I knew at that point. Yes, Michael's legacy is getting back to the point where it's being fixed now. I mean, the musical is a huge hit on Broadway. It's bringing in tons of money. They've got a national tour. They've got a Germany.
They're worldwide now. They're worldwide now. They're in Australia. They're in Europe.
They're in Germany right now. They're in the UK's got a company doing MJ the Musical. It's just like I said. They're rolling. They are rolling, and they're raking in money, even though Miles, who played the original Mike, has long left, the cast to move on to do films. But dude, I just love to see it. And then just to see these kids on TikTok, seeing kids still loving Michael Jackson and having the infamous Michael Jackson phase where everyone dresses up like him. And I'm like, dude, he's been dead since 2009. His last album was 2001. And people still watch Motown 25. They still watch
what it is.
On Ed Sullivan, and they just like emulate him like he's a new artist.
And here's the reason why it's that way. Well, whether you love or hate him, he's a fascinating individual. His story is fascinating. So it's easy to at least be interested in who the hell this guy is. His story is fascinating. I mean, even the bad stuff, the vitiligo and all that stuff, that's fascinating. Even if you don't like the guy, like it's like seeing someone like, I don't get it. And whether or not you invest or not in a good way or bad way, it's up to you. But he's a very interesting person. So that alone gives him an advantage.
Yeah,
it's that simple. It's really that simple. But then the music is what it is. It's phenomenal music. So
and the fact that
translates.
Yeah, and the fact that he only put out like an album every 4 years, after he was an adult, and he still was able to make the impact that he did with a catalog that might be a little thinner than some of his contemporaries. That speaks volumes.
And he sold more than all of them, doing less.
Yes, exactly. And that speaks volumes also. The fact that he's outsold, and you can talk about the Thriller thing. Thriller sold so many. Like, dude, Michael has Off the Wall is almost diamond. Bad's diamond. Dangerous is about to be diamond also. History is about at 8 million now. Like, that's just in America. History is the biggest selling double album in music history. Blood on the Dance Floor is the biggest selling remix album in music history. Bad is like the 6th biggest selling album of all time.
Used to be number 2 for a while.
Yeah, Dangerous is the biggest selling New Jack Swing album of all time at 32 million worldwide. It's just like he knew how to get people to love his music, whether it was from the music itself, from the performance, and the marketing. And so, that's just a perfect storm that we just can't see now in the age of social media. You know what I'm saying? People, there's no mystique. We know too much about people. People are too willing to disclose every aspect of them, and we get fatigued with them way more now, to the point where we just take everybody for granted, and we're very entitled about people's images and seeing people in certain ways. That's why someone like a Kendrick Lamar is so fascinating, because he literally only tweets like links to his music or links to his shows. He doesn't really make any statements. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He just shows up, he kicks ass, and then he goes home.
He's still touring, right?
Yeah, his the Australian leg of the Grand National Tour is set to begin in about 3 weeks, with Schoolboy Q and Doechii opening for him, and that'll be the final leg of the Grand National Tour after it's been in North America. The first tour was in North America. The second tour was in Europe, and the third he did a South American leg in the fall, and now he's going to do an Australian leg next month, and then that's going to lead right into the Grammys, where he has 9 nominations, and I expect
after winning a shit ton last year.
Last year he was nominated. He did a clean sweep. He won all 5 He was nominated 7 times. He was nominated in 5 categories because he was nominated twice in 2 categories. One because 2 categories he was nominated for, both Not Like Us and Like That. He ended up sweeping. He won all 5. The last time somebody swept their awards was Silk Sonic, when they won all 4 of their categories for Leave the Door Open.
Yeah.
Great song. And great song. Still love them. And so now he's up for 9 categories with the GNX album and his collaboration on the Clips album, Let God Sort Him Out. I expect him to win like at least 2 Grammys, maybe 3. He's got to win 3 to tie Jay-Z for the most Grammys by a rap artist. I expect him to win at least 2. So because this is a really, really great year for hip hop, and a lot of great projects are being nominated this year. So, it's not going to be the kind of runaway that some people might expect it to be. So that's going to be exciting.
Is Drake on the way back? It's been about over a year since this.
Okay. All right. So
is it time for him to show his face now?
Okay. So, this is interesting, because Drake actually does have a nomination for the Grammys this year. He's nominated in I think in the best melodic rap performance for I think Somebody Loves You, from his collaboration album with Party Next Door, Some Sexy Songs for You. Obviously, it was Party Next Door that probably submitted it, because Drake hasn't submitted to the Grammys for some time. He stopped doing that a long time ago. So the only times that he's won Grammys or been nominated for Grammys is when he's a featured artist or a collab project, like the song he did with Thames and Future, his collaboration with 21 Savage, and now his collaboration with PND. I'm surprised Nokia didn't get any nominations, but at the same time, I don't know if Nokia was submitted. So that's also something that's interesting, because I feel like Nokia was such a big hit. It was a ubiquitous sort of viral song that I expected to make some sort of splash at the Grammy Awards, and it didn't get any nominations. So that was surprising. But Alex Warren's Ordinary didn't get a lot of nominations either, which is also shocking. So nothing surprises me.
But he'll come back and he'll be fine, right? Like he's not done. That's what I'm trying to say.
Drake will be just fine. He has more than enough fans to propel his record to #1 on the charts. He has been touring and doing just fine overseas. I'll be interested to see like what the next tour is going to be for this upcoming Iceman project in North America. I'm sure that he'll be fine. I don't know if they'll have the audacity to try to do a stadium tour to try to at least match or one up what Kendrick did with SZA. But it'll be interesting to see. But I think that Drake will be fine. I think that Iceman will do good numbers. Will Drake have any transformative big songs the way that he used to? Only time will tell. Like I said, Nokia was a big hit. It got number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, organically, I should say. Because like, What Did I Miss got to the top 10 just for virality's sake. Right. But Nokia was a genuine hit that was like a slow burn that made its way up the charts and held steady. Of course, Kendrick trolled him and put out the Luther music video to keep him at bay, because he's trying to stop him from breaking Michael's record. But because Drake and Michael both have 13 number ones on the Billboard Hot 100.
He'll break that. Drake will break that just because
Drake's gonna break it. It is what it is. But but context is important too. I mean, it's a streaming area, so it's not like people are going to stores to buy Drake singles the way that they're going to stores to buy Michael Jackson singles. So the metrics of that is not the same. It's apples and oranges. But that's just what the rules are now.
Right.
But Drake will be just fine.
I kind of feel like I know she put out an album like literally a month ago, and it sold like hotcakes. Obviously, the streaming numbers are up through the roof. But I feel like maybe we've seen the peak of Taylor Swift. I think maybe like the popularity thing. I think the bubbles burst. I feel like maybe it's just me. I don't know, because I feel like this burnout now at this point.
Well, it can't be, because the fate of Ophelia is still
right. But I feel like
one.
But it's selling. But I think it's also okay. We're good now. We got enough people for a while.
But here's the thing about Taylor, and we just talked about Michael and sort of like his ability to like just come out every few years and then come back. Taylor has not been an artist like that. Taylor has been an incredibly prolific artist. Like she put out Tortured Poets Society really quick after the previous record. I think it was Midnights. And then Tortured Poets Society came out like it feels like it came out less than a year after Midnight.
Yeah.
And then she had every incentive to. Like, I went to I covered the MTV Awards where Midnights won 9 awards, even though she was only nominated 8 times. So I still don't know how that happened. But and then Tortured Poets Society was a big hit, and then now Life of a Showgirl is out. And she's being pulled through the ringer over it in terms of the critical critiques. I think that this is sort of the beginning of the moment where her dominance begins to downshift, and she turns into a legacy act. I mean, it happens to everybody. Look, unless you're Miles Davis, you're gonna fall off. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I feel like we've reached the peak now, and like people are a little fatigued on it now.
I think so too. I think that it's because, number one, the quality of I feel like the quality of the music isn't reaching the moment the way it was before, and I feel like
the reviews on this album were very mid.
Oh yeah, and that's like formal reviews. If you listen to some of the critiques of this album on the internet in terms of people breaking it down on TikTok and other places,
negative.
It's very, very, they take her to task a lot on a lot of things that she's gotten away with over the years, and that are sort of showing themselves to be very problematic on this album. I mean, I've never been just a fan of her music, just because it's just, her music isn't for me. And that's fine. I certainly am not her demographic, and but I do respect her place, and like I respect how she's accumulated the large audience that she seems to have.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is what all artists deal with. It has that turn where they're no longer that guy or that girl anymore, and now people are going to start to challenge her, and then other people are going to come into light and sort of take that shine away, and then that person will become the new it person. It happened. Like I said, Miles Davis is the only person to escape the wane in popularity and in quality. He's the only person that was able to withstand that and still be as popular and as innovative and creative as, at the time of his death as he was in his heyday. So it's inevitable. And I think that what counts is how gracefully you deal with it. I feel like if you can take it in stride and you gracefully deal with the fact that you're not that guy or that girl anymore, that, you'll become a legacy act, you'll tour your greatest hits, you'll still be big, you'll get your Lifetime Achievement Awards, and you get sent out the stud and you walk off into the sunset. I mean, Stevie Wonder, he achieved more, he was at his creative peak in the 1970s and critical peak, but his commercial peak happened in the 80s.
Yep. Which is crazy, right?
It's crazy. He sold more records in the 80s than he did in the 70s. He won an Oscar in the 80s. He had just as many number one
but
singles.
Much better quality in the 70s.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody agrees with that.
Well, I mean, in terms of the production and engineering, no way. The songwriting, if the songwriting on some of Stevie's albums, if the engineering and production on Stevie songs in the 80s were the same as Stevie songs in the 70s, people might be thinking about it differently. If you take songs,
are you saying you prefer his 80s material over the 70s material?
What I'm saying is, no.
You're not saying no. You're not saying no.
What I'm saying is that it gets unfairly maligned because you have to take into context that in the 80s, he didn't have any more time to be subtle and poetic with people. He had to get straight to the point. And that's why you get songs like I Just Call to Say I Love You. And you get songs like Apartheid Is Wrong.
I know Brian Jones always shits on his 80s work all the time.
Yeah, of course. But like I said, those are, and he's entitled to his opinion.
Of course he is. Yeah.
It's much like Questlove, who shits all over Prince's 90s catalog.
Does he really?
And he's entitled to his opinion. I know a lot of Prince fans that do not even like to mention some of his 90s work. Yeah. But what I will say about Stevie Wonder's 80s work is this. There is some A-level 1 material in his 80s period that suffer from the fact that he went full digital and he went away from having this great amalgam and balance between electronics and acoustic instruments. And I think once he did full electronic music and he was doing drum programming and these cold synths of the time, and I think that's what made people like sort of dislike it. Not to mention the fact, like I said, people can say all they want how much I Just Call to Say I Love You is a bad song, but
it's a nice song.
Listen to me. I hear people complain about music all the time now, and who would pray to God that a song like I Just Call to Say I Love You was on the radio right now.
Without question.
They would love to get a song like that now. But that's just the thing about pop music. People love to shit on pop music, and I keep wondering, like, how is a song so popular if I never hear anything positive? Like so the Grammys were announced, like Doechii got a lot of nominations for her Anxiety single. I've heard nothing but terrible critiques of that song, even though that song was legitimately a big hit. I don't understand how so much negativity can always drown out a song that was obviously well liked by millions of people. Like, I'll never quite understand how that happens. Like, I'll never understand how people, like, so many people hate The Girl Is Mine. So many people hate Ebony and Ivory.
I don't hate it. I don't like it.
Hate Ice Baby. It's just like
the fun songs.
Somebody liked it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been such a big hit.
Exactly. It's one of those things like where you have to be uncool. You can't follow the trend. You gotta be a contrarian.
or people that just or there's more stupid people than there are smart people. No, that's
that too.
People like what they like. Okay, there's some songs that I really don't like, but I wouldn't begrudge anybody that if they did like it, because that's how this thing works.
Yeah, and it's been a few weeks, but I want to get your thoughts on the passing of D'Angelo.
Yeah, shocking, very, very sad.
There was no rumors; it just came out of nowhere.
So I saw on Twitter someone say something about it. I'm like, no, that's got to be a hoax. And then I saw Baller Alert was the first to report it with no with no link to anything to back it up. And I'm like, no. Until I hear it in Variety or Deadline or TMZ. Hollywood Reporter, fuck TMZ. I'm never gonna give them credit.
I get it.
They're right all the time, but I'll still never respect them enough to give them that clout. If I don't hear, I'll never, because then that's not why they're doing it. So
they're not doing it as a service. They're doing it as a service. Doing it just to
exactly. Yeah. So I saw Mark Lamont Hill say that I have good sources that say that D'Angelo had passed. My boss at 651 Arts, she has mutual friends with D'Angelo, and she told me that it is true and I'm like, what? And then finally, the New York Times, about noon that day, the New York Times officially reported it from an official statement from the family that he did indeed pass away of pancreatic cancer. And I just couldn't stand it. I'm like, why? Like of all things, it's just, I mean, look, it's really, really sad because Black artists, we just don't make it. They don't make it to 60. They just, as Black male artists, very, very few of them do. That's why I love
Stevie's one of the few.
Look, I'd already told my boss, like, when Stevie Wonder passes away, I have to take 2 weeks bereavement. It's just understood.
Right.
But like, I love seeing Big Boy. Like, we talked about Outkast earlier. I love seeing Big Boy posting videos of him spending time with his grandson. Because I'm like, dude, like, rappers don't live to be grandfathers.
Right.
They don't get to live that long. And he did. And he gets to enjoy his life, seeing his grown kids, enjoying his time being a grandfather, and he still gets to perform and be in good health. And I'm like, see, we don't have that. Michael Jackson, Prince, Rick James, bitch.
Prince
Rick. Well, I'm just some Black people that don't see 60.
60
who are artists. Michael Jackson, Rick James, Prince, Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross. Yeah, Luther was 54 when he passed away, I want to say. That's why I'm like on like serious, like crossing my fingers, because all the members of New Edition are in their mid-50s right now. So I'm just like, Johnny Gill is gonna be the first to get to 60. So I'm just like, okay.
I can see that tour they're doing next year.
Dude, the New Edition Way tour with Tony Braxton and Boyz II Men. I'm shocked that they didn't do something with Boyz II Men sooner. I know that I'm shocked. So I feel like this is a natural progression. They're just touring monsters. This is the 3rd tour in a row that they're going to be doing 4 consecutive shows or 4 consecutive nights of shows, which to me, anybody doing 3 shows in a row is completely preposterous. And for an act that's men in their mid to late 50s to perform 4 consecutive nights in 4 consecutive cities, that to me is insane. But this is the 3rd tour that they've done this, because when they did the Culture Tour, there's a Culture Tour, the Legacy Tour, and now the New Edition Way Tour. So one tour they had Tank, Keith Sweat, and Guy, and then the next tour they had Charlie Wilson and Jodeci with them, and now they have Tony Braxton with Boyz II Men, and they have once again 4 consecutive nights of shows. at one portion of their tour, which to me, it's hard to believe, but people keep coming out for them. And I was blessed enough to interview Bobby Brown and Johnny Gill before, I think it was late 2021, right before the Culture Tour started, when the tour with Tank and Guy and what was the other group? Tank, Guy, and Keith Sweat. So I had asked them, I'm like, how do you like this? Because this is like after the miniseries had come out. It was right before they were about to be on the American Music Awards, where they did the whole collaboration with NKOTB, which went over really, really well.
Two Boston groups.
Yeah. And I was like, you guys have a lot more young fans now. You know, after the miniseries came out, they have lots of kids that come to their shows now. And Bobby and John, like Bobby's like, well, it's great because we all have young kids. Like Bobby's like, I have young kids. Johnny has young kids. Ronnie has young kids. At that point, Ricky hadn't even had his first kid yet, and he just had his first kid, him and his wife. So they feel like we're introducing ourselves to a whole new generation of fans. And I think that's the great thing about New Edition. That's another group that's got a very thin discography as just a group itself. The reason why they're so great is because they combine all of their solo stuff and side projects together, because that's all part of the New Edition puzzle. Right. The same way that Wu-Tang solo albums are a part of the bigger Wu-Tang puzzle, in the same vein as like 36 Chambers and Wu-Tang Forever and all that stuff. So I feel like with New Edition, this next tour with Boyz II Men and Toni Braxton is going to be great. I think that they're also doing it because they've done like 3 Vegas residencies in the past year and a half. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so they're ready to like take it to other cities now, to go back to cities and to people who couldn't see the Vegas residency, because their Vegas residency, like I said, was very successful. They had 3 runs, the great reviews. So I'm glad that they're going back on the road to see their fans again, because their fans will always show up for them. Yeah. They will always show up for them. And the fact that they have Boyz II Men, who's a direct descendant of that group. I mean, they're named after a song from the Heartbreak album. It's beautiful. And then the formatting of the show, where all of them are going to be on stage the whole night, like alternating. That's going to also be really, really interesting how they're going to pull that one off.
Right. All right, before we get you out of here, one more thing we'll touch on. Okay. You teased a couple times on the show, so I guess now you're at a crossroads now with your media career.
Yeah, I'm just at a point right now where like I'm just like trying, like it's that cliche. I have to put my mental health above everything else, but it's true. I've just been going through a lot of things with my mental health, just with issues I've been going through. My work is suffering. My drive to work is suffered a lot. And I feel like I need to pause and take an indefinite break and really concentrate on trying to do something else, because and the reason I'm doing it in this sort of dramatic, like cold turkey type of way is because basically what it is that I have a Substack page. I was let go of both of my jobs 2 years ago, of course, writing for the Griot and being in television production with Brick Arts Media. And I had made a Substack page to keep myself sharp and to keep my name out there for people who followed me. I created my TikTok page, and I became a freelancer again. And it just got really, really hard, for a myriad of reasons that I don't want to talk about here. But I feel like I need to take a break. So I'm going to take the Substack down. I'm going to deactivate my socials for a while and sort of just let myself live life, like turn off all the crazy hot takes of social media and everyone with podcast mics, because it gets infuriating and it gets draining and exhausting. And I don't want to also, and plus the whole thing with social media, people just put the highlights of their stuff. And knowing that I'm taking a break from writing and taking a break from video, knowing that there are great artists and great creatives who are doing great stuff with that, it would just be too much for me to watch so many people do great work, knowing that, you know, I'm taking a break and like, oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't have the will or the physical fortitude to be able to step up to the plate, you know. So I feel like this is something that I need to do for myself. I'm going to fulfill my obligations as a freelancer up until the end of the year. I still have my Neo Soul book that I've been writing. I'm going to finish that and do that for my obligation. I'm not saying that I'll never return to social media. I most likely will at some point. I know that taking my Substack down is sort of the antithesis of what I've been talking about in my writings over the past 2 years, particularly my writings with News One, where I was angry at Paramount for taking down so much of the archival stuff from MTV. But like I said, my work has suffered a lot, and I feel like I need to put it into a different format or in a different setting. And so, even though I really like Substack for what it is, I know that there's a lot of things I have to do in order to really cultivate it and to make it like I have to make it like my full-time job to really grow that page.
And it requires drive and
and it's just too much for me right now, and I need to find a way to like really get to the heart of like where a lot of the things that hold me back is coming from internally, and so that's why I just made that decision. So the Substack, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Substack.
So the Substack Define Media, that's going to be up for another 2 weeks, and then I'm going to take it down. I'll probably put the articles back up in some way, shape, or form in the near future. And then my TikTok, my IG, my Twitter. Yes, it's Twitter, not X. Damn you, Elon. Those will all come down because, like I said, I just get tired of like just seeing stupid people do stupid things on the internet. Nicki Minaj, I'm talking about you. Just kidding. I love you. I love you, Nicki. I don't want to get doxxed by Nicki fans because I can't be held responsible.
Why would it matter? You're gonna be off social media anyway. The whole purpose of doing this, like, leave a couple bombs before you leave.
Yeah, I know, right? I just don't want
buddy. I'm out of here. Talk to a wall.
Exactly. I just don't want to get doxxed and some people like throw stuff through.
Would you still do a podcast with me though? If I asked you to do a pod.
No. I will up to a point. You know, I think that because I think I'll probably make some guest appearances here and there. I love doing your show, the R&B representatives and their Catch That podcast. I've loved being on that show. Maybe I'll try to jump on them and do one more with them or two more with them if they have the time. I have some things to possibly pitch to do a panel, a college panel next year somewhere. You know, I have a lot of things to consider, but I think that right now I just need to find out what other things that where I'm at emotionally and psychologically and mentally, and also to try to figure out other things that I'm good at that I can do to make money. That's not what this is, because being a writer and being a producer is great, but and this point where there's so many people who've been laid off and people who've been fired and departments that have been discontinued.
It's a shrinking market.
Yeah, it's a shrinking market, and you know I don't want to continue to. I don't know if I want to go down with the ship. So I think that the people who are doing it independently, because I think that's ultimately what it's become, is that if you want to really do great work, you have to do it independently, because we can't trust these big publications and studios anymore, because number one, we don't know if the job security is there, and number two, because of the Trump administration, everyone is pushing all these crazy right-leaning narratives, or these weird narratives that omit a lot of truths, or they slant things in ways that, I mean, music's always slanted things, but it's been getting kind of spooky the way they've been doing it lately. And I feel like in order to really do it the right way, I'd have to be independent. That was one of the reasons why I started the Substack, but I just don't have the time to cultivate it in the way that I need it to be. There are so many great creatives out there who are doing it really, really big. I mean, you're one of them. R&B representatives, of course. Elsie, not I can't remember her name, but she has a great platform. No, Elsie, not Elise on Twitter. She does great interviews. EVA, who is with Complex, who used to be an OK player. She does great work too for hip hop and for world music, Caribbean music, Afro beats. There's a lot of other great writers. Rob Markman, who does great stuff for hip hop. So shout out to them. They're fighting a good fight, and I'll trust them to save us from a world full of Joe Buddens and Charlie Kirks.
You not a Joe Budden fan?
No. Joe Budden can.
His pod is a little entertaining. Mark Lamar Hill's on there now, so
don't get me started about that. I respect Mark enough to not say how I feel about him being on that show.
I mean, it is a high school show. I mean, it is a, what I'm saying. It
okay,
is
all right. I'm just gonna come out and say it.
Gloves are off. Let's go, motherfucker.
All right, I'm gonna say it. I think that Mark Lamont Hill sold out by being on that show. Number one, and number two, I don't blame you, Mark, because I can't stand Rolling Stone. And if Rolling Stone called me tomorrow, I would take a job from them tomorrow, because rent needs to get paid and food needs to be put in the refrigerator. So I don't blame you. I think that show is beneath him, and I think that he did it for the money. But
I agree.
Hey,
he's independent though. He's going.
Kudos to you. You are doing way better at life than I am right now.
And he's going independent. He has gone independent. He's doing his own YouTube page.
Yes, I hope that he can use this as a platform to uplift himself to do something bigger and move beyond them. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just gonna say that I think that he sold out by being on the show. But I would be right behind him. I'm at a point. Yeah, I'm at a point where I'm ready to sell out.
Here's what I'll say. So I wasn't necessarily a huge Joe Budden fan in terms of his podcast, but Mark Lamont being there did help me in enjoying it more, because he does add to the show. He does add some sort of intelligence and
it's an entertainment
nuance,
show.
So
anyone that watches that show to get information is kind of missing the point.
That's what it takes, dude. That's what it takes. What it takes are,
and I'll also say Mark Lamont Hill, he thinks that Michael Jackson is guilty.
I know he does.
I don't want to hear shit from him about the biopic. I think that if you are a person who thinks that Michael Jackson did it, I don't want to hear what you have to say about his music.
Yeah. So he says indefinite. It's funny because I can relate to you also with me in sports media in the aughts. Like, I had opportunities. I did internships and whatnot for radio, but ultimately for me it was different because I became a parent at the same time, and I decided to focus on that more than anything else. And I just took a chance of me just going and do my own thing. And look, I do this because I like it. I mean, if I want to stop doing it, I can just stop, and it doesn't matter. This is all me. I do it because I love doing it. Doesn't mean I have to do it. I choose to do it. There's definitely more satisfaction in going independent and doing things your way if you're passionate about it. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And shout out to you, EJ, for doing the work for the love. And that's the only way you can do it. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, do I hit walls? Oh my God, all the time. Like right now, I was trying for a couple months to do a show every day, well, multiple shows every day, Monday to Friday, and it's too much. So now I'm back to me just doing whatever the fuck I want. I'll just do a show when I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
But if I don't do a show for like 2 weeks, I want to do a show for 2 weeks. That's it. Yeah. I'm not going to burn my mental health and time with my kids and my wife to, for the podcast. I mean, obviously, if it becomes a more, yes, I make money on this podcast. I'll agree, not a lot, but still, like I said, it's got to be. It's got to work for me first. So I get it. I respect what you're doing. I think what you're doing is actually very smart. Take a step back, see where you're at. You're not saying you're done. You're just saying I need a break.
Yeah.
Maybe in the break you get more clarity.
Yeah, I think that'll help too.
Hiatuses do help. I do on the show all the time. We're not entering year 15 next year on this podcast. I take multiple hiatus a year. I'll take a couple weeks off sometimes. Say, I'm taking a little break. See you in a couple weeks. And that's it. I'll come back and then there you go. I feel good after that. I have more clarity and I'm good.
Yeah.
So it's healthy. It is healthy.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Of course, man. I really appreciate it, man. I hope you have it again soon, even during your hiatus. So
you'll see me again. I wouldn't worry.
Do you want to plug anything in the meantime while you can?
Do I want to plug in anything? Yeah, sure. I have some stuff on go to blacklove.com to see, my work on the Clips album. I did some reviews on the Clips album. I wrote some reviews on I talked about black male vulnerability in hip hop in the year 2025 at blacklove.com. I got some stuff coming up with the Amsterdam News, some music reviews, some interviews that are coming up soon. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just go to Amsterdam News online and look up some of my stuff. And yeah, that's basically it. And right. You still go to the TikTok page. I'm at Headphone Addict 1, the number 1.
I really enjoy the content. That's the thing I'm gonna miss the most more than anything else. All the content is the TikTok videos you do. Really good stuff, man. I mean, like I said, I know you need to take a step back, man, but definitely,
yeah. If I come back, when I come back, I'll come back stronger for sure.
Yeah, especially the TikTok stuff, because that stuff is amazing. So,
thank you so much.
Good job, brother.
All right, man. You take it easy.